Wow, mate, we've been very fortunate over the last couple of years to meet a lot of heroes of ours. And obviously, in this particular episode, we get to meet one of the best of all time for us, absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I'm Boris Blank. I mean, absolute legend of electronic music. Obviously, we love Yello. We spoke about Yello before, along with Dieter Meier. I mean, real heroes of ours. And yeah, I mean, really honoured to speak to him. And who would have thought when we went and saw Yello in Hamburg a few years ago that one day we'd actually speak to Boris Blank?
Yeah, mate, that was 7 years ago. I remember, 2017. Still got the poster up there. Yeah, and that's the only time I ever played live. Do you know what I love about all these people we meet? And Boris is certainly included in. What a lovely guy.
Yeah, I mean, it was so down to earth. I mean, obviously, it's all about this, his new solo album, which is stunning, but sonically it's a brilliant piece of music. And people should investigate it and look at his solo work as well as Yello.
Yeah, you're right. I think everyone needs to try and grab a copy of this, especially if you're fans of Yello. You know, this is still containing the legacy, but it's very much a Boris Blank album. So should we dive in, mate?
Yeah, everybody, Mr. Boris Blank on the Electronic Cafe. Enjoy.
Do bow bow.
Hello, you lovely Electronic Cafe people. As you know, Mark and I have been very lucky to meet some incredible legends over the years, and today's guest is certainly no exception. One of our all-time heroes, Mr. Boris Blank. Welcome to the Electronic Cafe, sir. It's lovely to have you here.
Pleasure for me. Thank you.
Brilliant. And congratulations on residence. It's sounding fantastic. There seems to be a mix of trance, ambient and electro, and a real distinction between the tracks. Was that the plan for the album when you put
this at the beginning, this was just a job for me because a very famous architect in Switzerland, Mario Botta, it's his name, he built a therm, like a thermal bath near Zurich, which was fascinating me, by the way, because it has they invite me when the building was only in a very rough, the ground. 2,000 years ago, the Roman built these terms and these sources of hot water.
Yeah.
And that was for the first time to see the archaeological work on this platform was very nice and interesting for me. So they asked me whether I can do some music for the part in this bath where you have some rooms with huge projection on the ceiling. You can lie on an island. Another room is just a sole bath. They call it a salt bath, totally black. You only have some LEDs, many LEDs, which looks like a little universe there, a cosmos. Yeah. The other thing is a two-floor winter garden with very exotic plants, like in a jungle. You have some butterflies flying around, whatever. So that was a very sort of interesting job for me. And I said, okay, I do it. First of all, I said, if they do it immersive, that we have a lot of loudspeakers in each rooms, that we can do it in sort of immersive mixing, that this really is something special. They say, yes, we can organize this. The other thing, of course, I was afraid to to, you know, it's like if you walk on a mountain, you're on the top and you can fall down on this or the other side. One side is the kitsch and the other side is the what do you call it, the esoteric sort of Celtic harps or pan flutes, whatever. I don't want to be in this league of music. I tell them I do some music which each track should have a little storytelling. And at the end, and that was the reason why I released the album in this way, was people asking at the casts when they go out, can I buy this music? So that was the initial spark to go on and make like a double album now, and even a Blu-ray for the immersive mixing, Dolby Atmos, and another one which is just stereo.
Amazing, amazing. Going back to the beginning of your sort of career, I mean, your interest in music started as a child, and you sort of became fascinated with recording sound. So what did you start doing? Were you just recording outdoor stuff or creating your own stuff through electronics? How did that start, that process?
Most of it I, of course, create. Of course, there are some, since back to the BBC noise albums, whatever, I have a huge collection, a big library. From the time when I really go out and with a microphone recording field recordings. I was a hunter and a collector at the time. Still today, when I hear some beautiful sounds, I of course immediately record that. And of course I start from scratch as a painter has a canvas. And I do have a lot of folders full of sounds, which has of course a name. And the names exactly, I know exactly what in which folder kind of moods and patterns or just sounds are in the folder. And I start with one color, speak one sound, then the other one, until it's like a patchwork, until I see a certain form of something, and I hold myself on this form. And I know this is the direction to the final track. And this always surprised myself, what's coming out at the end, you know. I create music like this. This is the working process, more or less.
A number of reports, and some have said you've got 100,000 samples in your library categorized, and some have said 500,000 samples. I mean, how big is your sample library, Boris?
I can't say. I would say that a million, perhaps. Wow. Of course, I stopped counting them. You know, each folder. I'm like what do you call these little animals? The squirrels. They dig the nuts somewhere, and like the squirrel knows exactly where to dig it out again. So I have thousands of folders full of sounds, and still I have them from the Fairlight time, sampling time. So it's huge. I still collect some sounds, and you know what happens is with the new technology today. The music technology, you can pick them up and you totally misbuild them, and you recycle the sound, so to say.
Yeah. Well, one of the questions that I had written down, which you've kind of answered a little bit, is that the way you compose your music, it is like a canvas, and it's like building blocks of sounds that come together to form the overall picture, rather than the traditional composition ways of, you know, writing a score or writing the music. And your new album, Resonance, is a beautiful sounding record. I mean, it's very anthemic, it's very cinematic sounding record, but it's got that Boris Blank Yello DNA going through it. There's certain little sounds that crop up, and there's certain little key changes which are so reminiscent of your work.
You know, it always happens that on each album of the last 45 years, there are some instrumentals. So Boris Blank instrumental sounds. There was Ciel Ouvert, but there are always some moody tracks on the albums of Yello. So this is now a pure ambient or a kind of a mellow Yello album without Dieter. You know, before Dieter came into the studio, it always was just the sound of Boris Blank, because I'm an egomaniac, kind of a musician, which kind of bring down the music without anybody, because I need, like a monk up the hill in a closet, he needs to be alone to create or be creative within the music. Dieter appears and he walks through the sound worlds of Boris Blank, and he immediately always invent a sort of a protagonist, a kind of an actor, walk through the pictures, through these sound pictures.
How did you guys meet, Boris? How did you and Dieter meet?
Yeah, that was like 45 years ago. And Dieter, I remember he was in a punk band, in a real, you know, like some naughty boys around him, and he was shouting. And I remember I had to, together at the time, together with Carlos Peron, we had sort of a little flat, and instead we are cooking in the kitchen. We have some little mixing desk, we have some tape recording systems there, a few synthesizers are there already. We only created some cassette, you know, like on cassettes at the time, and we showed this to a record store in Zurich. He was involved in some very low financial little productions of maxi versions of 12 inches, whatever. And we brought this guy a cassette and say, would you do a production with this? And he said, I like the music, but I think it needs a singer. And the singer was Dieter Meier. I remember exactly on a Saturday, like 11, 12 o'clock in the afternoon, Dieter Meier appears in this kitchen. And he was, you know, as he was usually a punk singer, he starts singing, shouting so loud that we have to leave a week later the room there, and the flat was quitted, you know. Yeah. So we are then built our first setup in the studio, because Dieter has also like a four-track TAG machine there, whatever. So we built in his atelier at the Red Factory in Zurich our first little studio. That was the beginning. 2 weeks later, we already have our first show in on a fashion show in a cinema in Zurich. As Dieter was on stage, and you know, in the old cinemas, you have this orchestra which you can't see. They just play on the knees somewhere. Two of us, me and Peron, we are afraid, you know, like the audience. We don't want to be that they see us, so they just see our hairstyle, not more, you know. And at the end, everybody was clapping and wow, big success. Then we come up like, you know, like, and say, hey,
yeah, that's me. Love that. quite a man of many interests. So outside of your music, what else do you do? What other hobbies have you got? Because
At the time or now?
Or now, I see.
Oh, now I'm very happy to have a daughter stock. Like daughters when they are young, they want to have a dog and say, "Papa, please, I would like to have a dog." And I say, "No, no, no, no." And she says, "Please, Papa." And finally, my wife, Patricia, she said, "Boris, please." I go out and walk the dog myself as well. And I said, "Okay, but promise." And now the daughter is not living at home anymore. She has her own flat. And I was walking the dog, or I go for a walk every day, an hour. And it's very good for my health. I swim. I'm sort of a little bit sporty. In my age, I was sporty my whole life, but now I still go for a swim for 3-4 times a kilometer a week, and this is my element. Water is my element.
You're putting us to shame.
No, I'm happy. Water is my element.
When you go out, do you always have a recorder with you, just in case you hear something?
Yeah, I have my own made or homemade application called the Yello Fire.
Yeah, we was going to speak about that.
Yeah. This one.
Yeah.
Yes. Of course, I do have this always with me. And if I have a little idea or just drawing a few notes in the forest by walking, and I record this on this little pocket studio, my Yello Fire.
I'm going to speak about that. I mean, I was in a band, me and Andy was in bands together, and I was synthesizers and I was with the samplers. And I remember when I got my first sampler, it became a bit obsessive, where you was like listening to everything and thinking, "Oh, I can stretch that, loop that, reverse that." I mean, it does become a little bit obsessive, doesn't it? It opens up your mind to sounds, and you think, "Oh, that would be good recorded, that would be good manipulated."
Yeah.
It's like if you're,
it's a whole new world. It's a cosmos in itself, because you can go into even to a molecular structure of a certain surface, and you see, wow, you can manipulate, like you can play God within a sound, and you totally misbuild, so to say, the sound. If you transport, so to say, you smash a snowball to a wall, record this with 2 microphones, and then you transport this 2 octaves lower, you have one of the best bass drums, And one interesting thing was, if you have a scotch, a tape, where you put it over the microphone and make, and you transport this 2 octaves lower, you have the perfect thunderstorm. First the flash, following by the thunder, which is beautiful. It's still my world. It's science. It's for me, this is science. In sounds.
I read a story where I think it was the Human League, instead of a hi-hat, they had an aerosol.
Why not?
And Boris, we must ask you, one of the most iconic songs ever is "Oh Yeah."
Yeah.
And it appeared in one of the most iconic 80s movies, the Ferris Bueller Day Off, and the Ferrari scene. How did that happen?
There is this good friend, Ian Trigoning, which was the owner of Do It Records at the time, where he was together with Adam and the Ants, lots of famous people or bands in England. He was also the guy who brought Yello together with Billy Mackenzie. He was in New York at the time, so he was sort of, how can I say, he was responsible for Yello at the time in New York.
Yeah.
And there was, I can't remember the director again from the Ferris Bueller Stay Off. And he asked him whether he has an idea of a title track for this key scene with this Ferrari. He said, yeah, that he has he's managing a band from Switzerland, Yello. They have a track, Oh Yeah. And the guy was listening to the track and say, exactly, that's the one which I'm looking for.
It's funny when I talk to my daughter's friends, and I say, I'm interviewing Boris Blank, and they go, well, who's Boris? And as soon as I say, oh yeah, they go, oh, him.
Yeah,
so
it's the signature sound of Yello. Still, after 40 years, it's now,
I know,
40 years, like 84 release, and still today they use it for commercials, for films, whatever. It's alive, you know, which keeps us alive. The circus Yello still is alive.
Correct me if I'm wrong. What did Dieter have full lyrics for that song at one point?
That's sort of a little secret, but to be honest, we try, as Dieter always was totally full of idea. Just like 2-3 bars of my music, he comes up with ideas, beautiful ideas. But in this case, we try to come up with some lyrics and some vocals. And he said, Boris, I don't have an idea what to do with this song. And I say, Dieter, think about, you're on an island, you're hanging there, beautiful weather, Caribbean feeling, you have a drink in your hand, what will you say? And then he said, oh yeah. And then comes the moon, beautiful, the sun, even more beautiful, oh yeah. And I was just there with, the beginning was this do bow bow, that was sort of the beginning. And we never thought that this track ever happens somewhere until Ian Trigoning come up with his phone call and say, hey, they take it for this film. So that was sort of our passport to our success in America. Today, still, when I go to New York or when I fly to LA, whatever, and you know the situation, you have to wait on the border, the guy and say, hey, next. And you say, he reads in the passport, musician or music producer, say, is there anything which I should know about your music? And say, oh yeah, chicka chicka. You're that guy. And then he keeps a stamp immediately. So this is still today a passport for the entry of to America or wherever.
That was one of the most iconic films of the 80s, and that music still is so recognizable for that film. It's like perfect.
Bow bow.
Do you know what I love about that though, Boris? It still sounds as fresh now as it did in the 80s. Yeah. It hasn't. It's timeless. It's a timeless track. It's fantastic. And Boris, going back to collaborations, like you mentioned, obviously you worked with a fantastic Billy Mackenzie and Shirley Bassey, right, on the Rhythm Divine. I mean, you've worked with some incredible people. Were they in the studio with you, or did they do it remotely, or did you get to meet both? I think you must have met Billy by the sounds of it. But
yeah, of course. I mean, Billy was the Rhythm of Divine was written by Billy. The lyrics and the melodies was Billy's idea, and he was in Zurich at the time to record any other things for Yello, and that was like 10 minutes for lyrics and another 10 minutes for 2 takes in the recording room. Say, Boris, you know, well, do it like this. And he thought about the voice. He was already connected with the range of Shirley Bassey's voice and the what is the pitches she cannot sing up and everything. And at the end, when we are in contact with Shirley and she flew to Zurich, I pick her up in my old Lincoln Continental. I thought, wow, this is sort of impressive. Wow. And she said, at the end, she said, Boris, next time, please come with an adult car. You know, that was not enough for her. She's a little diva, but that's nice. And Billy was there. Billy was there in the studio to help her if there are some. But she, I mean, first of all, when she enters the studio, Billy was there, and he said, I have to go. He can't stay. He was so nervous because she was there. And for her, that was like 2 or 3 takes she needs, and she's perfectly rehearsing, of course, the songs. She's a perfect interpreter. And that was like half an hour, and we're going out for dinner in the evening, and that's it. So
I don't know if you can see it actually, but you can see there. That's the life. Me and Mark came and saw your tour in 2017. Would you do that again?
You have seen Yello in Hamburg. You
went to Hamburg, yeah.
Yeah, I saw you in Hamburg. Yeah, it's amazing, and the sound and everything. And we came away blowing away. But we just said, I wonder if you guys would do that again. Is it something you'd consider, or is that just that's done and it's parked, or would you do another tour again?
Yeah, I'm afraid, or I guess this was, you know, because after all these years, Dieter, to see Dieter on his knees and say, Boris, we have to go for live, please, let's do it. And I always said, no, I think it looks a bit dodgy if you go on stage with a laptop and you start the laptop and shake your ass and with your head and try or pretend to be live. That was never my cup of tea. But to go on stage like with a band, with like a 6-piece brass section, with percussionists, with a drummer, with 3 people backing vocalists, Dieter, me, this is something else, but it costs a lot of time. 8 months we just rehearsed in Berlin. I was flying a few times to Berlin to rehearse in Berlin, and then at the end, to be honest, it costs a lot of money. You know, we lost some money with this tour, and the break even is when you do it like, I would say 200 days, and you have 2 sets. Go to Munich, from Munich to London, and they always build up the stage. Otherwise, you don't make money at all. For me, it was a great experience, because to be on stage and to know that people coming to the concert, they're all big fans of yours, and to feel the reaction, to get the reflection of the people. This is a power palace, you know. It's unbelievable what you get back.
It looked and sounded fantastic. I mean, we flew from the UK especially for the show, and we had a couple of days in Hamburg. So for us, it was tremendous. I mean, it was an amazing experience.
Thanks so much. This is a great compliment.
And we speak to people and we say we was at this show, and people were like, "What? You was actually there?" And like, you know, a lot of people would have loved to have been there, but it looked and sounded amazing. It's phenomenal.
Thank you so much. Thanks. Offer from, you know, the whole eastern part of Europe. We had they are planned, our management in Germany planned Moscow. They are you name it, all kind of Warsaw, in the whole eastern of Europe touring, and we said it's a bit too hard for 2 older boys to do that. We are back in the studio. I'm looking forward to hit the main street again of Yello, of course, and you know, being creative is also, you need some time.
Is there a new Yello album coming down the road sometime?
You know, as I told you before, as a painter, of course, I always have a few
Yes.
tracks in these folders, and now I go through the last 20 years, and there still are some tracks which you still can use. There are like 70, 80 tracks left on my hard disk. So, and you know, it's like when we have done the last, I think there are 2 albums with the last one was 40 years Yellow. So yes. I have to go back. I grab in all the kind of folders and hard disks, and whenever I hear even the first album, I can say something is in the music still is timeless. I still can hear most of the tracks still today, and I do understand now. You know, when our daughter was young and she's going to the kindergarten or to the first 2-3 school years, you have this evenings where the parents comes together, and there are some parents, mothers or fathers came to me and say, you know, Boris, I love Yello music, but I can't hear it anymore because my young boy listened from in the morning till the evening only Yello music. And this was a big compliment, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there is something in the music which is, I don't know, it has a secret or something playful in the sounds, whatever. Children love it. And also, I can say today, listening back to, there are 2 or 3 songs which I think, bah, they are a little bit dated, but all the rest I still can hear today.
The first track I heard of Yello was Boss Stitcher in a nightclub, and I said to my friends, holy shit, what's this? And I actually asked the DJ what it was, and he told me. So that's when we found you. But the one thing I remember reading, one press guy said, these guys are great music. The only problem is I think they may be too ahead of their time. And I thought,
wow.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, seriously. And that's all. And you, as you say, you go through the back catalogue right up to Toy and A Point, etc. And yeah, it still sounds really fresh, really fresh.
It's still fresh. Yeah, you know what it is. I think one reason for it is you never should look at to the left or to the right. What happens? What's trendy today? And if you find yourself and you still have fun, like I do have, like a child when I start with a track, I'm electrified, you know, and totally. I can't wait where is the journey is going to in the track. So I think it should always make fun to create anything, even all kind of arts. It's the inner the fun to work and of it for it.
I mean, you're one of those artists that people will hear a track and they'll say, that's Boris Blank, that's Yello. There's not many people that sound so distinctive and so like you. And
what a compliment.
It's a, you know, I think we love electronic music. We've got thousands of albums. We've got loads of electronic music. You can play 1,000 songs and put one Yello song in there and you'll say that's Yello.
That's funny. It's funny. Yeah, thanks. This is a big compliment. What's very interesting, I just sent an email this morning to Wolfgang Flür. He was the first electronic drummer of Kraftwerk, and he was in Zurich last week, and I missed to meet him because I never met one person of Kraftwerk, even Ralph or Florian, never. But a lot of people always sort of think about Yello, Kraftwerk, and we never get together so far. And this Wolfgang Flür was in Zurich and has a little show in a club in Zurich, and I couldn't make it because I was ill. I had a coughing, and now we're in contact, and perhaps there will be a marriage somehow with one of Kraftwerk and Boris Blank. Who knows?
That'd be amazing.
Did Wolfgang mention me and Andy? I'll tell you why. Me and Andy are putting on an electronic cafe show in London in March, and Wolfgang is our headliner.
Is that true? Wow.
Yeah. So if you want to come to London as our guest, you'd be more than welcome, Boris.
So you are on stage with him or what?
We last year we put on our first live event, Electronic Cafe 1, and it was so successful. We've expanded it this year, and we've I mean, we know Peter de Gaal, we know Wolfgang from the past. So we asked Wolfgang to headline, and he's headlining our show in March.
And so, Mark is DJ.
Yeah, he mentioned something that he's working with a person with the name Duggan.
Yeah, Peter de Gaal.
Yeah, de Gaal. Yeah, exactly.
He's a musical collaborator. He's a lovely guy. But on the same show, we've got Wolfgang Fleur is headlining. Tiny Magnetic Pets are second on the bill. Peter de Gaal's on the bill, and Mark Reeder, our mutual friend, is DJing for the night. So that's on March the 16th this year.
Cool. You sent me the details. I might be in London anyhow, somewhere. I don't know whether in Italy or in I have to visit Ian Trigoning as well. Me and my wife, we are looking forward to visit London anyhow in the next future.
We'd love to do that for you. If you've got the time, we'll make that happen. It'd be amazing.
Cool.
Absolutely amazing. I know we're running out of time soon, Boris, but a couple of questions. I've read something. You've got a huge love for classical composers, like classical music. It's been quite influential. Who are the composers that you love?
There are a lot of composers which are really fan of it. One is, of course, Shostakovich. I like a lot. I like Pierre Boulez, the art. What do you call it? Musique concrète. I like Giorgi Ligeti. I do like somehow, because it's a very conceptual music, Karl-Heinz Stockhausen, but it's a bit too academic for me. And of course, I'm a big fan of Rachmaninoff. I'm a big fan of Mozart, even at the end.
Yes.
If you like some real Baroque music, but there are many others which I appreciate.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you mentioned Pink Floyd earlier. I believe that was the first concert, wasn't it? You went to? Was that the first gig you went to? Was Pink Floyd?
I have seen the Pink Floyd 1968. I'm not sure, but I think 68 in Zurich, in a very little club here in Zurich, in the Hasiland. The name was Hasiland. Yeah. And it was so loud, people just disappear. I was 2 or 3 people are at the end in the room, because it really was unusual loud. And you have this water oil lamp projection at the wall.
Yes. The acid trip.
Yeah, exactly. And that was, for me, it was very, very funny. And Pink Floyd, as all kind of underground or psychedelic bands at the time, they invented the music. They believe what they are playing. This was a new area, a new horizon of some electronic involved music as well. And I still hang on this time, or in this time of Pink Floyd's. I would say the metal from metal and the amalgama. This is so beautiful music. I mean, it's still today timeless. Also,
very much so. I think my first album was Relics by Pink Floyd.
Yeah, beautiful with the birds.
Yes,
birds, the track on the river. Yeah, great.
One of our final questions is that, I mean, that album Behind Andy there,
Convergence with Malia,
yeah. Mark and I were out record shopping in Berlin with Mark Reeder, and he literally walked into the record shop, went, you need this, and he put this in my hands. I went, I'm having that.
It's a very good sounding album.
Great album.
The quality is very, very good.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's amazing.
Mark Reeder did one of your remixes, didn't he? He did Vicious Games.
Yes.
Which is a great mix. Would you allow Mark Reeder near your remixes again?
If he kindly asks me, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
We thank you for your time. The final question, which we always ask everybody we speak to, what would be your desert island disc?
Phew, this is very hard to say. There are so many, as I told the story about, oh yeah, on the island, I would say, oh yeah, do bow bow, the never ending, oh yeah.
Guys, we love Residents. I hope we know it's going to be as successful as it should be. We can't thank you enough.
Andy, have a great weekend. It was a pleasure for me.
Likewise, Boris. You're seriously one of the pioneers that we love. So thank you so much for being part of our musical tapestry. It means a lot. And as I said, it's been a real honour for us. So thank you.
Thanks
Boris.
Thank you, Boris. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
So everyone, really hope you enjoyed that fantastic interview with the incredible Boris Blank. Boris, sir, thank you for Mark and I for coming on the show. Absolute honour to have you on. You truly are a legend and a massive part of Mark and I's musical tapestry. And, as my buddy does such an amazing job of playing you tracks throughout this episode with the album, this one, we hope you enjoy it and you go and buy it. And while we talk about amazing music, don't forget, it's very, very close now. March the 16th. 229 Great Portland Street, London. Wolfgang Fleur is headlining, and he's surrounded by a fantastic cast of people, including Tiny Magnetic Pets, Peter Dugal, and DJ, the incredible Mark Reeder. Get your tickets. I'll ask my bro to put a link at the bottom, but you really got to attend this. It's going to be an amazing, amazing event. Don't miss the opportunity to be in a room with two incredible legends. And I'm not talking about me and Mark.
Get your tickets now. Just go on to Dice or Gigantic, but the links are below.
Look forward to seeing you all there. Cheers, guys.